Hello everyone, this is TJB, and today I will be teaching you how to do midair shell jumps in Super Mario World using my practice ROM here. I just released this new version here where it tells you detailed timing information about everything you got right and everything you got wrong. So I will be teaching you how to use this ROM. First, you can just go straight to the subworld here. This will be the actual midairs, and this big level, that is the P-speed midairs, your standard midairs, but if you're just learning, you're gonna want to start out a bit easier first. So first, you want to know when to throw the shell. Pretty easy, it's just standard shell timing. So I have this free midairs room where you don't even have to do midair inputs. You can just throw forward and you will land on the shell. Pretty easy stuff. So you can go ahead and practice in here a while and just get a feel for when to throw for your P-speed midairs. But we're here to learn how to do actual midairs, so let's go ahead and go here. Once you're ready for the actual midairs, and you might want to start, there's the Sheffy 2 physics and the Sheffy 2 P-speed physics, which are kind of a compromise between this and Sheffy 2, so it's medium difficulty. But this is the real deal here, the actual midairs. So what you're able to do, if you hold select and you press B, that'll turn off and on the hitbox display, as well as all of the timing infos. So first let's go over flick midairs. I'd say those are the most useful, and that's especially really what you'll want to do in speed runs. For example, if you're doing low percent in Super Mario World, stuff like that. Or there's some like extra wide 22 tile gaps where you need to do a flick midair. Flick midairs slow you down the least, and they are pretty useful. So to do a flick midair, you kind of need to understand how Mario's throw direction works. So it actually takes 8 frames from when you turn around until you can turn around again. So if I flick left here and then I immediately start holding right, then let me see if I can get it. So even though I pressed right there, it was still counting down from 8 frames since I pressed left, so it didn't turn me back around to the right. And so that entire time that it's counting down, you can see like right above Mario, it's counting down from 8. During that time, if I throw the shell, even if I'm holding right on the D-pad, it'll throw to the left. So you have to throw at least 8 frames after you tap left. So what you want to do first is you want to keep your thumb, you want your thumb across the entire D-pad like this. That way you don't let go of the D-pad at all while you flick back and forth. You want to be pressing the D-pad down without letting go in order to do a flick midair. So let's go ahead and do that. And the first thing you want to do is to flick the D-pad like that. And then it's about 8 to 12 frames later, you want to let go of Y. And then you want to repress Y as soon as you can, like about 2 frames after letting go. So you got to be real quick to let go and then to repress Y. So you can see I just did a flick midair here, flick throw delay. So the time in between flicking the D-pad like that and letting go of Y like that was 9 frames. And it'll tell you Even if you get it early or late, it'll tell you what you got so you can adjust based on the feedback up there. I held left for 2 frames during the flick, and I released Y for 2 frames. So both of those were real good. I didn't slow down much at all. So we can do a few of those here. And flick midairs are pretty consistent, but they're not entirely consistent. So that time I just flicked a little bit too hard, but it shouldn't have been that much of an issue. I got the inputs pretty much perfect. But you can see up at the top of the screen, I got a bad frame rule. So unfortunately, it's not a 50-50 chance. Just because you get a bad frame rule doesn't mean that you won't make it, but a bad frame rule combined with bad speed oscillation and a bad subpixel, all of those together will sometimes occasionally just make flick midairs impossible, and that's unfortunate. So thankfully that's not an issue with tap midairs. So tap midairs are a bit different. Instead of holding the D-pad down the entire time, you want to face yourself to the left and then let go of the D-pad like that. And then both on the same frame, you want to start holding right and let go of Y. Like that, and then you repress Y as soon as possible. And your repressing Y needs to be as quick as possible, so. A bit like that, but I pressed right 1 frame before the throw. That just means I wasn't synced up with the right press and the Y release. So let me try that again. There we go. So I got the same frame, right press and the throw. P meter drain, we'll get into that. And I held left for 1 frame and I released Y for 2 frames. So the P meter drain is actually really important. A lot of people don't realize it. But actually, if you tap left right at the start of your jump, like this, I got the inputs just about perfect there. You can see at the top of the screen, I got the same frame, right press, and the throw. I held left only for 1 frame. I released Y only for 2 frames. And I got a good frame rule, but I still missed it by 2 pixels. So it's actually terrible to do it like that. Just because your P meter is draining the entire time that you're not holding anything on the D-pad. So you can see up at the top left corner of the screen there, my P meter is going down constantly while I'm letting go of the D-pad. But my speed is staying the same. So what's happening is my P meter is draining, but I'm still going P speed. So it's kind of like how slope speed works. As soon as I start pressing right again, I will lose my P speed momentarily. I'll go back down to no P speed before speeding back up once my P meter is full again. But the problem is, I'm throwing the shell with P speed, and then I'm slowing down to no P speed, so the shell's going much faster than me, and it's actually worse than doing a no P speed midair. So what you want to do to fix that is, rather than pressing left right at the start of your jump, you want to press left a little bit later and be holding right a bit before that. So if I wait a bit before I tap left, and then I tap left like about halfway up my jump, then it'll be no problem as long as I get everything right, and it'll actually be 100% consistent. And that's the great thing about tap midairs, is that as long as you're doing it right, even if you get a bad frame rule and everything, you will make it consistently 100% of the time. So that's what that P meter drain is. It's actually extremely important. So is the Y release. The Y release, you want to keep that to like 2 or 3 frames at the most. Because again, same with the slope speed concept. When you're not holding Y, you slow down to walking speed. So you don't want to be slowing down to walking speed. You want to re-engage Y as soon as you possibly can, so that you're still at running speed. So those are the two different types of midairs. And tap midairs, you can actually do no P speed. So here I have a no P speed midairs level, and you cannot do flick midairs with no P speed. You will miss it by like a lot. You have to do tap midairs. And this time you'll see the P meter drain just doesn't show up because it just doesn't matter here. P meter isn't a thing because you have no P speed. And no P speed midairs, they do require same frame right press and throw. They do require generally a 2-frame left press and a 2-frame Y release. And that'll get you by about like 80% of the time, but you can see here I got bad frame rule as well as bad speed oscillation, so the shell threw a bit faster than I wanted it to, and unfortunately I just got bad luck and I wasn't able to make it. Yeah, just like there, got everything good, but I got a bad frame rule combined with bad speed oscillation. So no P-speed midairs are the hardest type of midair for the most part. And, but lots of fun to pull off. So the last thing that I'll be going over here is drop midairs, and they are actually kind of complicated. You'll be doing the same thing as a flick midair, so you'll be flicking the D-pad, and then but the reason that you're flicking is a little bit different. So you're flicking in order to slow yourself down, because actually when you're dropping a shell, doesn't matter where the shell is, it'll always drop. It'll never drop from like in the middle. Like you can see the shell is in the middle here, but it'll always drop like all the way in front of you. So you can't actually do that flick trick to get the shell to drop forward from behind you. So the reason that you're flicking then is to slow yourself down rather than to get the shell farther back. And you want to slow yourself down to drop the shell, and then you have 16 frames from when you drop the shell until you'll start interacting with it again. And by that time, you'll want to speed back up to P speed by holding Y and right. And then once that 16 frames is up, you can't be holding Y again, or you'll end up with the shell back in your hands like that. So what you want to do then is once you do the flick and once you speed back up to P speed there, you want to let go of everything except for B. So 1 second here. So everything except for B. That way, because if you're still holding right, then again, you're going to be slowing down towards walking speed, so you don't want that. You want to keep your essentially slope speed. Same concept as slope speed. You want to be holding right up until you're no longer holding Y, and you need to not be holding Y so that you can nudge the shell forward. So the flick is a little bit different here. You want to flick a little bit longer, but it's really subtle. You just got to play around with it, get your flicks good, and you can see like I'm holding left for 4 frames, or 3 frames there. I flick just slightly longer, but it's extremely subtle. So Yeah, so those are the 3 different types of midairs you can do. There's also another way you can do flick midairs, and that is to let go of the D-pad in order to intentionally drain your P meter here. And then you want to hold right for a bit so that you're slowing yourself down by not having P speed. And then after you've held right for a bit, you drop the shell, and then you do that same thing where you hold right and Y for less than 16 frames to speed back up, and then you let go of B, or everything but B, like that. So that's a front drop midair, and those are pretty fun as well. That's actually what I've got my PB of 21 using that strat. So you can see there, I was holding Y just a little bit too long, so I ended up grabbing the shell again. Yeah, I really do like this strat. It's lots of fun. Pretty low effort. So yeah, anyway, hopefully this will help. You can go frame by frame. YouTube actually lets you go slow motion. You can use the comma and the period keys on your keyboard in order to go frame by frame. And you can look at both my controller inputs as well as the input display up top, and you can analyze everything that's going on. And yeah, hopefully this will be a help to you. And thank you so much for watching. And the link for the download for this practice ROM is in the description if you'd like. And I hope you have a great day.